What up, TikTok? Hey, hope everybody's having a great Friday. Hey, don't let anything that's negative in your life dictate the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Hey, we all go through some hard times. We all go through some emotional stressors, maybe at work, maybe at home, whatever it may be. Don't let that dictate who you are and how you react to the rest of the things that life throws at you. Does that make sense? Like if you're feeling pissed off and angry all morning or all day, you're going to take that energy and you're going to present it to everybody else that surrounds you, your loved ones, your soldiers, whoever it may be. You're going to use that negative energy and it's just going to make everything worse. Try to be positive. Pick something positive in life that's going really well. Use that positive energy and let that dictate the rest of your day. We can harp on the negatives. We can harp on the bad things that are going on in life. It's not going to help us. It's not going to help us move forward. Stay strong, keep pushing, drive on. Happy Friday.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger Instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
So, I'm walking out of the gas station and my co-worker, who's an old MP, but we still claim him, and has engaged the man in conversation. Not much for conversation with strangers, but he's got the tab. So, as I walk by, I say airborne, and the man responds with, and I quote, "Hoorah." So, after I instructed my co-worker to slash every single tire before he put the car in gear, I looked for the biggest rock. As I crow hop to throw it through his back window so he can stop posing as one of us, I actually wake up and realize that the man's ignorance had incapacitated me for a moment, and I was daydreaming. I mean, because in that moment you got two options. I chose the third option and said, "Incorrect. That's an incorrect response." And I kept walking. The man said nothing and he pulled away. So you tell me, what is it, a stolen valor thing? No Marine's gonna have an airborne tab, and no paratrooper's gonna say hidden hoorah. So you tell me, stolen valor?
Hey, y'all, going to work. I left you too on the refrigerator. I love y'all. I'm gonna go.
Hey, go get dressed. Get ready for school.
You're doing great. I was just tooling along. Shit! Bad guys! Stop!
Let me break it down Barney style.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, Joe, and Buddy. Today's special guest is Joe Fair, a Vietnam veteran who we decided not to make fun of.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. What's up, Trash Talkers and Gruntworks community? Welcome to episode 53 of the Trash Talk Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, Zach Farkas and 10th Mountain Whiskey. Go to their website, type in VTT, and get yourself a discount. Special guest today is Vietnam veteran Joe Fair, an author
And Gulf War veteran.
Call sign Dracula and Gulf War veteran. And today I'm here with Nick, Joe, Buddy, and Bill. Let the dumpster fire begin. Over to you,
It's
Joe.
already begun. This is fucking dumpster fire. You had
Fucking
one job,
started
Dave.
now.
You had
God
one
damn it.
fucking job was to introduce Joe Fair.
And you got to interrupt me.
Hey.
My one line that I say, Nick. My one fucking
Hey,
line.
Nick, does this put me up for a long tab? I'm driving during the show.
Yeah, you just
Gotta
passed
buddy it
selection.
out.
It does.
Okay.
It does. Except for the fact
I'm
that
about
you
to
don't
go
have
around a Dodge
Yeah,
Neon
doing
at a
it.
full stop. I think that means I'm all right. I'm qualified. I'm in. Check that one. All right. Actually, I'm gonna key off of something Buddy said on Memorial Day, and not too deep on this soapbox, but it's just about who we say we preach a certain thing because we live a certain thing. We actually walk the walk when it comes to helping veterans and helping our brothers out. We're all there to answer that phone. You know, we don't do it for recognition and all that other nonsense. But like what Buddy was saying, you know, if your buddy needs help doing something, if your buddy needs help around his house, don't just talk about helping that dude. If you have the ability to do it, go be that guy. Go be the guy that makes his day. Go be the guy that helps that veteran. So the reason why I keyed off what Buddy was saying on the Memorial Day is like last week, I got in contact with a scout sniper friend of mine is a Marine. I worked with him at Duke Energy. 8 years ago, I went through a brutal divorce. Was going through pretty much unchecked, my PTSD, my drinking, all that other nonsense. Whatever it was I had, I wasn't trying to treat it. Was playing pretty fast and loose with my life, and really didn't have a whole lot of stake in the game as to what my future was going to be. I was being pretty selfish, to be honest with you. And this dude worked with me, and like a real veteran would, pulled me aside one day and said, "Hey man, you look like shit. I can tell you're not eating. You're definitely not sleeping. You're in your late 20s and you look like you got punched in both eyes. So you're definitely not catching any sleep." He goes, you went over there, you had a good military career for the time you were in. These guys respect you, and you're going to go up on these power lines today, and you're going to be, absent-minded because of what you got going on at home, and you're going to get killed up there. He's like, you still do a very dangerous job, man. And he literally pulled me aside, and I told him, I was like, man, it's just a storm right now. I'm not sure what to do. He gave me a bedroom at his house, and I stayed there for a couple of weeks until the storm, calmed down and I could find a place to stay. Well, literally, I hadn't talked to him a couple of years, and we just started talking last month, and he's got his own side business doing decks. And it's crazy the way things come full circle, because this guy had a beautiful house. His nickname was the last family man. Well, long story short, he's going through a divorce now. The job thing isn't going so slick now. And we're talking about a 6-figure job that the divorce is kind of bleeding into that, and he's having some issues. And he took FMLA to kind of put his stuff together, and he's got a side business. And he was like, "Hey, I could really use your help building this deck to get this thing knocked out this week." Just because a little cash injection, because child support and alimony can be a beast, and they were married for 15 years, so he's got to do both. So long story short, that dude was there for me when I needed it. And when he said I could use the help, it wasn't even guess it's time to repay that favor. It was like, dude, I'm so glad to clear that debt with this guy and give him that help back because of what he did for me. So, when your buddy says, "Hey, I could use the help," or "Hey," and that it's for a good reason, watch how that comes back full circle. And when they're in need, or when you're in need, they do the same thing back for you. So, went out, built the deck this week in 90-degree heat with my buddy, had a good time doing it. We made some money. And it's what we do. It may have been 8 years later, but 8 years later, he needed my help with the same situation. And I didn't forget when you're down and people reach out to you, don't forget those people, because those are the ones that are always going to be there. But that's all I got, Nick. I'm passing back to you.
All right. So you didn't read the script, Joe, but that's fine. It's okay. But I have to address something. All right. What you said was very true, but you spent the first couple seconds making fun of Buddy, right? And you were saying that you're special forces just like him now, but you just literally copied everything he said. So not only did you make fun of him, then you actually copied him. But that's okay.
Thank you, Nick, for pointing that out.
That's negative. I actually took his advice, and I gave him the credit for saying that was good advice. And if I can't bust Buddy's balls, then this isn't America, and the terrorists have won. And now you got me
Okay,
triggered.
see, guys, look, at
No.
least he admitted it. All right, we're all wearing the same shirt. All right, quit
Give me
being
your
triggered
phone.
pansies.
Some of us got the memo. Some of us
got the memo. All right, go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com, put in VTTH, get 15% off this shirt today. Okay, it's the best shirt you're ever going to wear out in public. Fucking guarantee it. Buddy, it's on you.
Hey, so first, let me say, Joe, if you need a foster dad, I got you. I put you right under the wing, buddy. You could be right there with me. I can just show you the way. I can get you back in. I can get you the selection, the Q course, the whole deal. You already got a good beard. We've got to work.
Let's do it.
Things. We'll bump steer you left and right.
Say my beard's good again.
I'll make it happen, Joe. I'll make it happen.
Say my beard's good again.
You know
Dave,
what?
how
We'll
many
come
waivers
together.
you got?
We'll come together
Know
as
your
a group
analysis,
and
Dave.
just get you there.
We got to skate by that one.
Yeah, we got to get clean on a couple things, Joe, but we can
Buddy,
make it
say
happen.
my beard is good again. Say that one more time.
Oh, it's good. It's a good beard. I'm not gonna lie. It's a good beard.
All right.
I mean,
I recorded that one.
You take a lot. You maintain
Especially
it.
since you stopped dyeing
beard.
it. Once you stop dyeing it, it actually looks better.
Yeah, true. Very true. Anywho, so I've been noticing a lot of my my honesty caps are a little bit like rants, and some of them, one could say, might even be a little negative. Today, I wanted to take a minute and just and maybe have a little bit of a positive honesty cap. That being that, first of all, what Joe said was right, mostly because it's what I said, but whatever. The thing that we also need to understand is the fact that guy asked you for help is a pretty big deal. But when you ask for help, you have to realize that you're not putting any of us out. It's what we want to do. Like, we want to help each other. That
You're stoked to get that phone call.
Yeah. Well, you're not putting us out. You're giving us, it's an opportunity for us that we want. We want to be able to come over, hang out with our boys, help them build a deck, maybe drink a couple beers and be able to, feel good about ourselves. So in a selfish way, you asking us to help you is giving us an opportunity and a gift. So there's no reason to not do it. That being said, it kind of leads into my honesty cap, which is, like right now I'm at a wedding for a guy he was the medic on my team, and drove up to Pittsburgh from Fort Campbell. And it kind of hit me today. I've been to about 3 weddings in the last few months for guys on the team. And, a lot of times we go to these events and we're just kind of like going through the motions. And today was one of the days that, like, I was actually present for the event, and really took a minute to realize what I was like witnessing and being able to be a part of. And, we have to take time to not check things off the block and just to go through the motions, but actually be present for what we're there for and appreciate the good things. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we're just trying to like go through it, get through the day. And even in like good times and bad times, like you're there for, you get to witness other people's lives and you get to be there for the good things that they're doing. And it makes you feel good to like be present in the moment and just kind of be like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm happy that I'm here. You know what I mean? And I think today was one of those days I had an epiphany that was just be there. You know what I mean?
Spell epiphany.
You know what I'm trying to say? Honesty cap, be there.
No,
That's
buddy,
awesome. Hey.
that's perfect, man. It's being present in the moment rather than checking it off your box.
Ever since Buddy got herpes, he's taken in some serious self-reflection. So
Yeah. Hey,
It's
I love you,
living
buddy.
through
Guys,
LeBron.
that's
Because he got
true.
herpes.
Before we give him any more credit on his honesty cap, he needs to spell epiphany.
watch his phone go out now. Watch his phone go off.
Yeah. Nope.
Brett, I understand.
Epiphany. All right, so
Siri,
that's
spell
a good
epiphany.
segue. That's a good segue into our guest. Okay, now Joe Fair is like Dave kind of mentioned, is a Vietnam veteran and a Gulf War veteran, and he wrote a fantastic book. All right, and I actually got a chance to read this one because he got it to us in enough time for us to do it. And as an author,
Okay. He's able to share the stories that, a lot of people just, they don't want to talk about, they don't want to hear, they don't want to see. So it's uncomfortable. And, but he does a tremendous job, and we'll let him talk about it. And we make fun of every guest in our song. So in our intro song, we make fun of the guest. And I think this is the first time that I chose not to make fun of the guest. So Joe, don't let us down. Otherwise, we will have to start making fun of you on camera. But anyways, Joe Fair, the author of Call Sign Dracula. Okay, so it's like I said, a phenomenal book. And the reason that I loved it the most was what caught my eye is he didn't like fisters either. All right. He didn't like fisters even to the FOs. He didn't like FOs even to the point that he became field artillery to see if he could change them. Okay. And because as you read the book, there's lots of firefights in this book to where Joe has to call for fire because the fister is nowhere to be found. Right. He's in the back, in the rear with the gear, just, craziness. So Joe, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. Welcome to the Dumpster Fire. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, why you wrote the book, all this. The floor is yours to do whatever the fuck you want. Welcome, Joe.
Well, thank you very much. Because I'm from Kentucky, in the south central part of the state. And I retired from the military in May of 1997. And I continued working for a company called Ingersoll Rand, and retired in 2011. I'll be 71 years old in September. I was 18, turned 19 in Vietnam. But when I retired from my civilian employment, took on full-time, being retired full-time, my daughter asked me to write down what I did in Vietnam, because I never spoke of it. And I asked her why. She said she wanted to be able to pass on that to our grandkids. And my children were here when I was in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, so they kind of knew what was going on. So I started making a journal about what I did in Vietnam, and a journal over time became a book. I got influenced to go ahead and write a book, but I'm not a experienced and polished and skilled writer, but I wrote from my heart and soul about the guys I served with in Vietnam, and especially to honor the 18 killed in action. I was with those guys. But what an adventure it's been. The book came out, the first edition came out in March of 2014, and it was about a 3.5 year project, writing, and then 50% of the chore is writing. The other 50% of the chore is finding a publisher who will publish your book. And but I was fortunate that Sunbury Press out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, took the book, ran with it, and in 2000 and let's see, this is 2019, Sunbury Press asked me to look at doing a second edition, because I knew there was more I could add to the book, make some corrections in it. And when I say more to add to the book, was more details of current stories, but also more stories. But most important to me was more names of the guys I served with. So the second edition came out in October 31st of 2020. And it's done quite well on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. And I sell books too. 2020 was a difficult year because there's no, it was locked down. But I said it made an opportune time for me because the Kindle sales really took off and went like crazy, because people were staying home. They wanted something to do, so they started reading. So there was a little bit of shining light in every bad situation. That was a shining light for me in 2020 with the shutdown. Was able to sell quite a few books, which I didn't think I would be able to do. But the book's about my tour with the Alpha Company 1st Battalion, 2nd Infantry Regiment, which we were part of the 1st Infantry Division. And I got there in April 1st of '69, and I left in the March 1970. And it was just strictly infantry guy. Started out just as a rifleman, walked point somewhat, and then I was only 150 pounds, 6'1", 150 pounds. I'm kind of skinny, but I guess I came off the farm. I was in pretty good shape. They assigned me to carry an ammunition for the M60, and then in the latter part of May, I started carrying the M60 machine gun. I did that for until October of '69, then I became the weapons squad leader, and then stayed in the jungle till the first part of January, And typically they would try to pull soldiers out of the jungle if we could, to get them rear jobs their last 2 or 3 months. And I went up to battalion, going to be a driver, but I wound up going to brigade headquarters. I was actually the go-getter for the full bird colonel, who was brigade commander. And we were up flying every day, still back in the jungle. So I never really got to disconnect from the battles and stuff, because I got assigned a different job. I thought I was going to have it made. I really truly had it made, but I was still in the jungle and still in the air. And then I came home the latter part of March, and we got assigned to 6th Armored Cav, Fort Meade, Maryland, and got married in July. I better remember this, July 18th, 1970. And my wife and I lived at Fort Meade. I got discharged in June of 71, and didn't want to get back in the regular Army, but I wanted to continue my Army career. So I joined the Kentucky Army National Guard in October of 74 as an E5. And then by the time I had retired in 97, I'd been a gun chief, chief of smoke, a gunnery sergeant, and I became first sergeant in my last 15 years. I was a first sergeant, and that was enough. So in 97, I decided to go ahead and retire. I had 27 and a half years, but had a good military career. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. But served with some great people, and great leadership. And even in Vietnam, had great leadership. Only had a little problem with maybe one major and a sergeant major didn't care too much for me, but it's just the rest of the time was pretty good leadership. Had a good long career. Really enjoyed it. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Yeah. But
Hey, that's all. Yeah. Go ahead.
Recognize all the guys and stuff, just to keep the memories going. So, but
No, that's awesome, Joe. And we're going to keep this conversation going, but I do have to address something in the book that, like I said, that it just called to me when I was reading it. So
Okay.
if you turn to page 118 in the script, in the Bible of Joe Fair. Okay.
Let's hear
So
it.
we have, I slipped the barrel back into my M60, got down behind the M60, took aim and fired about 100 rounds of 6 9 round burst.
yeah, I know.
I could see him over the barrel of the M60 dating back and forth. I fired when it disappeared behind the rubber trees. So
Yeah.
we skip a little bit, and it says, we asked the FO, Lieutenant Mike Hart from Minnesota, and his RTO, Ron Hume from Texas, to call in artillery. They were well behind the company.
Officers.
Yeah. No, and his RTO. Okay. The FO requested, where were we receiving fire from? Okay. So I've experienced this myself as trying to hey, where the fuck is the FO? All right. So talk about that a little bit. And
who was your FO that you couldn't find, Nick?
Okay.
I told you already. We've covered this.
Yeah, it's you didn't. I'm glad you didn't mention the part, but I will mention it. I fired 75 rounds at a enemy soldier, and I missed. Okay, that was the bad part about it. But he got behind the rubber trees on me. But I did get
been there.
And I was on an OP when this was happening. So the FO and his RTO was our command group back at the. We had a position set up, so we were OP about 150 meters out away from the position. So with the but we had a radio. So when I called back, the FO, so he knew my position, but I was able to adjust fire, talking to him, and the FO was talking to the fire support base. But they weren't out there with us, but didn't expect it.
Yeah.
But
So two things. One,
They're in the rear with the gear. They're in the rear with the gear. They're just
No,
standing
they
out
were-
there.
the officer was in the rear.
And then
of the
they
gear.
tell our stories later, you know.
Yeah.
they were still in the jungle with it. Well, at the time in the Mission Rubber Plantation, but they weren't on the OP. They were in the
The officer.
Joe,
I would like to-
Nick just did that to light a fire under Bill. Now he's got him going.
Yeah.
I also like to say that Joe
It's,
left his
I just want to say it's called a forward observer, not get shot observer. So there you go, Bill. I'm helping you out.
I would
That
also
just
like to
sounds
say
like some
that-
SF talk, like how they break contact.
No,
Yeah.
I was just trying to help the FOs out. They got your back. You got to tell them exactly how far back you want them.
I would also like to bring up that Joe got out and became a 13 Bravo, so that's where all this FO hate is coming from.
Yeah, to fix you. Pave the way. And now you guys are just, embarrassing him with every action that you take at Devarty. So But hey, Joe, that's why we brought Bill on. Bill Send at 7. He's had multiple nicknames, Willie Pete, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, let's give the floor back to you. He's going to have his chance to defend the FO world here in a second. But back to you again. What would you say? Because we actually have the majority of the people who engage in a lot of our posts are Vietnam veterans, and we didn't expect that. We weren't tracking it, and then the partner that we're with Stop Soldier Suicide, they're like, hey, who do you think is the most the highest percentage of veteran suicides? And it's Vietnam veterans.
Mhm.
And I heard a general say one time about the urban conflict in Iraq. He was saying, you think about it when you get shot at every day and you don't know where it's coming from because you're in an urban environment and everything's echoing everywhere. And it's like, and he brought up Vietnam and Korean War veterans. Sometimes he's like, when you're in that kind of terrain, whether it's jungle or whether it's urban, and you don't get shot at, it takes a serious toll on you mentally. And I'll agree with that. There were times where you just keep getting shot at, and you have no freaking idea where it's coming from. So that stigma of not talking about it and keeping it bottled in, did you feel any type of relief when you actually put those thoughts and words down on paper?
I did. It's when I came back from Vietnam, I struggled at first fitting back in. Even I wrote in a book about thinking about going back to Vietnam because the world back here didn't make sense to me. We had a lot of division in the country, anti-war, for the war. We had a lot of racial tension at Fort Meade, Maryland. And I was having a struggling, because when I was in Vietnam, we didn't have that. In the unit I was with, we didn't have that racial tension whatsoever. We were combined. We were a very cohesive group. And I really thought, and had I not been married, I thought I would go back to Vietnam and get back with the infantry unit where I thought I'd fit in better. But I was able to go ahead and grab my bootlaces and suck it up and discharge. But I wanted that connectivity when I got out of the military. I was missing it, but I was married, and my first child was born in '73. And I really didn't want full-time military. I wanted that connectivity, and I thought the National Guard would be ideal for me, and it was for me. I still had my contact with the military, still stayed in contact with some of the guys I served with in Vietnam. That's my phone. But
tell them I'm not here, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, answer it. Put him on the show.
My wife's gonna get that. She'll get it.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
It relates on what you were talking about racial tension.
Yes.
And you mentioned how it was in Garrison. It was at Fort Meade, Maryland. And then you said, our unit didn't have that issue. Well, neither did ours. Now, were we predominantly Caucasian? Yes, but we had a mix of everything. Why do you think it is? And we've got our own opinion, but I just want to hear it from a Vietnam veteran. Why do you think it is that racial tension in combat is not a thing amongst brothers?
Well, I think because we knew we had to depend on each other so much that we didn't think in color of skin. We really didn't. And it's we drank out of the same canteen, shared the same food, drank out of the same whiskey bottles because we knew we had to have each other. And we were all away from home, but we just had to have that cohesiveness, that we just were together. Now, there were some units that had it in the rear echelon troops, we call them RIMPs. In the rear troops, there was some racial tension, but not in the frontline units. Now sometimes when we got back, you could see the groups separate. We'd see the Hispanic guys get together, the black guys get together. And that was just common, but we'd still join each other and still have that cohesiveness, I'd go to where the Spanish guys were gathering. I was welcome with black guys, everything, and we just didn't have that. But I think it was because of design. We had this strong need to depend on each other, and I knew those guys had my back, and they knew I had theirs, and I think that was so important.
It's such a powerful statement coming from a Vietnam veteran, and I can't put into words the amount of respect I have for that generation that basically went over and wore the same responsibilities we did and basically took the bullet for us so we would never get treated that way. So I always have the utmost respect for anybody that's been in that conflict. But we agree 100%. That is exactly how I see it, is that we're playing with stakes a hell of a lot higher than what church you go to, what accent you have, what your skin color looks like when it hits the sun. Like, we're playing with stakes a lot higher than that. And Nick and I always agree that, you know, if everybody handled that issue like the military does, racism would not be as big of an issue as it is today. We didn't play that nonsense. It was like, look, we're playing with something bigger than that. If you can't get around that, you ain't going to be in this unit.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, that's you know, that I'll do a quick book of Earl here because it'll keep the conversation going because it's right in line with it. And I get so mad at, you know, when I see the you know, seniors in the military when they're on Twitter and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. And I honestly think it's a huge spit in the face of, especially, you know, Korean, Vietnam War guys, you know, that era, but then also ours. I sit in the meetings and these briefs, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck are you talking about? All right. So it's like, people first, like, stop being racist, stop being extremist. It's like, have any of you fought a fucking war? All right. All you guys coming on here with these tweets about fucking ponytails and, you know, whatever. It's like, do you think honestly any of us give a shit about that? And it's like, when did we get away from, hey, let's go win fucking wars? All right. Sure. And I love how you brought up, and for those of you who want to say we, like, you know, we lost Vietnam, you're like, we want the infantry guys and the FOs. Okay. They did their fucking job in Vietnam. All right. And they fucking punished. All right. They punished the enemy. All right. So it's like, that's just here or there. We could get
not to mention, we had never seen that in the history of American warfare as a combatant. We had never seen that kind of enemy, and that how they could stay fortified by not really wearing a uniform, or like, we'd never seen that up until Vietnam. And so many people that had absolutely zero entitlement to a fucking opinion, they usually were the loudest ones about it. So I agree with Nick. It is very frustrating to hear people talk about Vietnam that had absolutely no skin in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So again, I liked how Joe brought up that he was 150 pounds and they made you an ammo bearer. All right. For the M60. Now, then you became the Weasel. All right. And now Dave spent time as a Weasel. I spent some time as a Weasel in my career. I'm pretty sure Buddy was a Weasel for like 12 years.
Also,
yeah, for like 12. I just said like Buddy's probably a Weasel for like 12 years.
Buddy, you were too. You were too, buddy.
Yeah.
Also,
and it's like, it's the hold on, buddy.
Of all the people that are on this show, the only one
Every
that's
time.
ever carried an M60 is me. Everyone else had a 240.
And Joe. So
yeah, Buddy joined in like 1990 and was still a staff sergeant.
Yeah, your award is being finished.
It was actually it was 2000. It was in 2000.
So I wanted to do a quick book of Earl, but again, Buddy just, you know, has to come in here and do this. But I'll make it long and I'll piss Dave off. So, Buddy, if you want me to piss Dave off, all right, just keep talking, because then I'll talk for a fucking hour. All right, and then Dave will get all upset, and then it'll just be another fucking dumpster fire. So, like I said, Joe at 150 pounds was carrying M60 7.62 right ammo. Right, and then he carried the fucking pig. Okay, right. So I just got done trolling on LinkedIn, and I was trolling this young lady who was saying the ACFT is bullshit.
Could Joe do a leg tuck though?
Yeah, like exactly. Could Joe do a leg tuck at 150 pounds? Pretty sure he could. But anyways, I don't want you fighting next to me if you can't throw a fucking ball 8 meters. All right. I don't want you fighting next to me if you can't pick up 140 fucking pounds. I don't want you fighting next to me if you can't do one leg tuck. All right. And I'm really sick of seeing, I was deployed 3 times and I did this and I did that. Okay. And I was like, well, you were lucky. All right. Because you know how much an up armored Humvee door weighs? All right. And if you're getting hurt by picking up 140 pounds, okay, I don't fucking need you next to me. All right. So I tweeted, I said all this shit, you know, and I was like, you know what? Let the nerds be nerds. All right. We got to do something, because this whole woke culture, as soon as you give this woke culture a fucking inch, all right, they're going to start taking more and more and more and more. All right. So again, stop the ACFT bullshit. You either train to fight and you want to be part of the army. That's what you should train to do. All right. It's not hard. Train for it. All right. If you're getting hurt while training for the ACFT, maybe you don't belong in the army. Okay. It's not that difficult to understand.
You're scared of the ACFT? Like, what's combat going to do to you, homie?
In the fucking Army. And I don't care how many times you were deployed. If you got to deploy 600 times, like Buddy has, all right, if you deploy that many times and you never have to pick something heavy up, okay, I'm happy for you. Okay. Good for you. All right. Like, you got lucky.
Well,
all right.
Nick, you actually talk about it. So you don't know what pain is until you've been on mission all day and that up armor Humvee door doesn't close the first time.
Right. Or how about
an
up armored Humvee door that gets blown off and lands on somebody?
I don't understand.
Are you gonna come?
I don't understand how you get to deployment without picking up something heavy. Like, how are you packing your shit? Because
this is the paratrooper thing. We're just a different breed, buddy.
A box of 50 cals is heavy. Like, it's a lot.
So again, to the DOD paying attention, all right. I mean, you can fucking fire me for it. I don't care. All right. Stop with the woke shit. All right. It doesn't help us win wars at all. And if you're complaining about taking a PT test and you're complaining about training to take one, all right, you're that same average basic motherfucker I don't want next to me. All right. I want the person next to me that's willing to go as hard as they fucking can and doesn't bitch. All right. After the mission, you light up a cigarette. All right. And you bitch your fucking ass off. Okay. That's what you do. All right. You don't bitch getting into the mission, training for the mission, getting to the mission. All right. You bitch after it. You're the same person. You're the same fucking person that fails Ranger school and then comes back and trashes every Ranger that you meet. Okay. You're the same person that fails Pathfinder school and then bitches about Pathfinder instructors, which Buddy was one of those too, surprisingly. He's fucking everything in the Army. All right. And you're the same guy. We'll even throw in something for Bill here. You're the same soldier that fails JTAC school. All right. And then you come back and say the instructor fucked you. All right.
It's the mentality. Blaming everybody else for your own faults.
We're giving it to them. All right. We're allowing it. All right. So when I speak up, when I'm in these fucking extremist meetings, all right, I'm like, we're not fucking extremists. All right. The Army the DOD has clear cut policies not to be a fucking racist. Okay. And like Joe said, which I'll give it back over to him here in a second. Like Joe says, when you're fighting, what both Joe said, when you're fighting, it doesn't fucking matter what color you are. Okay. And Mr. Fair comes from a timeline of where if you were colored, all right, in a lot of states, you still couldn't drink out of the same fucking water fountain as somebody
There was
else.
real segregation.
All right, there was real shit.
Yes.
Okay. And now you're dealing with real shit more on like a money side. All right, it's not as much as your color side. It's just about the money. Okay. But guess what? The Army doesn't have a problem. The infantry doesn't have a problem. You know who has a problem? Is the same fucking pogue-ass motherfuckers that are bitching about the ACFT. All right. There is extremist problems there. Okay. There is sexual harassment problems there. All right. All of you complaining about the ACFT are the same people who are fucking extremists, racists, and sexist. All right. Go get your fucking ass in the infantry. Go fucking saddle your boots up and go see how many people actually give a fuck if you're a woman. Go see how many people actually give a fuck if you have a ponytail. Go see how many people give a fuck if you eat tacos or you eat fucking, jerk chicken. Okay. Because that's what your mom used to make. Okay. Nobody is going to give a shit. What they're going to give a fuck in the infantry about is, can you carry your weight? Can you fight? You got my back because I got your back. So that's the quick book of Earl. Stop fucking complaining. Just fucking go do your job and read Joe's fucking book, because Joe's going to tell you, if you just read that and you don't feel bad for bitching about the ACFT, then I don't fucking even want to talk to you. Like, bye. You just triggered the shit out of me. I'm fucking triggered by your pogue ass complaining about the ACFT. Fuck out of here. Joe, back to you. What's up, man?
Nick, look at my shirt like I was looking at yours. Keep calm and lay suppressive fire.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Hey, Joe,
Just
Nick,
don't lay it into rubber
trees when he
trees.
really cares.
If you lay it into rubber trees, the bullets don't go through. Ask Joe.
Joe, talk a little bit, and a lot of us are aware of how it was, well, at least from reading and stuff, but I always take my hats off and salute all the Vietnam vets, like Joe said earlier, because you guys didn't receive the love coming back like we do. And then also in regards to the care, it was there, but you're kind of unaware. That's why Nick brought up earlier that the suicide rate amongst Vietnam vets is actually the highest. So just for, individuals that are watching, maybe civilians, maybe people that just don't understand, talk about like coming back and how, the public looked at you and how you guys really dealt with some of the issues that you were going through.
When I came back from Vietnam, I didn't run into the problem at the airports and stuff as I was coming out of Travis Air Force Base, flying back to Kentucky. I didn't meet any of those groups and get spit at and stuff. But when it was amazing to me that when I got back to Fort Meade, Maryland. Remember, I got home in the end of March. So it was probably the first week in April. I was actually home in Kentucky on 30-day leave. Got stationed in Fort Meade, Maryland, and the Kent State riots had started. I think that was in May. Yeah, and there was a killing at Kent State, and there was rioting going on in Washington D.C. I was put in the back of a deuce nav, and with the rest of the troops of the 6th Armored Cavalry Regiment, we went to Washington D.C. from Fort Meade on riot control. You can imagine my feelings. I just got out of the jungle.
After what you've been through? Yeah.
Just got out of the jungle. And they gave us, instead of my M16, I had an M14 because it was better equipped for riot control with a bayonet because we kept them scabbard on. But I'm standing around the Treasury building. I'm an E5 thinking, what in the world is going on? Here I'm facing my own people who are rioting and stuff. And we didn't have live ammunition. There was people behind us who did, but we were guarding the Treasury building, and it just wouldn't register in my mind that how can this be? I just got out of a war zone, and now I feel like I'm at home, and it's almost like I'm back in a war zone again. And it was just so confusing. I'm telling you, Fort Meade, Maryland, being up there was a tough time. When I was there, just trying to make it all realize what was going on, and we were not appreciated whatsoever by not everyone, but by many of the people, especially the people marching in Washington, D.C., because of Kent State, the killings and the riots up there. But it was a strange time for me. It really was. That's why I said I thought about going back to Vietnam, just re-enlisting and going back to Vietnam, and just would make more sense. But and when I came home, though, my family, my town, they were all very supportive of all the Vietnam vets. So I had it much different. Lived in a small town where everybody's very patriotic. A lot of larger cities, there were not a lot of GIs that I talked to actually took their uniforms off as soon as they got into San Francisco Airport. Or any major airport, took their uniforms off, went in civilian clothes because of the negative things that were happening to soldiers returning from Vietnam. It didn't happen to me. I was fortunate about that. But guys going to Washington D.C. for riots. 6 weeks prior to that, I was still in Vietnam fighting a war, and coming on. It was so hard to register that. I've looked over the years. It was a trying time. The Americans, people weren't singing on the same sheet of music. We were all different tunes and stuff, and it was very trying. But things got better though as I once I left Fort Meade, Maryland, and was married and started working, joined the National Guard, and National Guard, we had black guys in the unit, we had Hispanic guys in it, and there was no racial tension in that unit either. But very fortunate on that.
Hey, Joe.
Hats off to you, Joe. Hats off.
Hey, Joe, real quick. I guess it kind of caveating, if you will, off of what Dave asked. You guys didn't have the internet. You didn't have like all of the tools that we have to get in touch with each other. How did you guys deal with post, like getting out, keeping up with your units, keeping up with your friends, and a lot of what we have found, like Nick and Joe and Dave kind of started this and then invited me in after, but they started it as therapy for themselves so they could reconnect. What did you guys do as, your own kind of self-therapy to get over? And what lessons do you think you guys have learned that newer generations of soldiers could kind of take away from, your experience?
Well, we didn't have like you said, the internet and the social media and all that stuff when I came back. And I lost contact with a lot of my Vietnam friends and comrades, but I had contact because I was serving with the National Guard unit. So when I retired in 97, And then I retired in 2011, started writing the book. That was the year of 2011. I made a commitment to find as many of my Vietnam comrades as I could. And I'm up to 45 guys I served with in Vietnam. I've been in contact with those guys. In the last 4 years, we've been able to meet every year except for 2020 because of COVID-19. We meet in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a reunion. And this past May, there was 14 from just from my company alone. But on the regiment, there's about it was very few in the regiment this time. But in 2019, there was 135 guys from our regiment from Vietnam we met. But 13, 14 guys from my company. But in 2011, I decided that I wanted to contact some of the guys. My first phone call was to my platoon sergeant who lived about 90 miles from me. Talking to him, we met. And then from that, he had a phone number for another guy. And then I started calling. They had, just blossomed out after. And then I get up to, like I said, I'm up to about 45 guys that I served with in Vietnam. And I stay in contact with those guys now. And the 45 guys I've talked to, I'm not bragging on myself or any of the guys, but we've done pretty good in life. It makes me feel good. Been pretty successful in life. The guys, their homes and their families and stuff. Been some divorces and stuff, and been some trying times. But overall, we're all in. I was the youngest guy in the unit in Vietnam. I'll be 71 in September. These guys are from 71 to 77-year-old. And when you look at and talk to the guys, they've done pretty well with their careers and stuff over the years. So I'm really proud of the guys. And we stay in contact now. It's a blessing when we get together every year for a reunion. It's just and it keeps growing. The number of people come to the reunions keeps growing. So that's been a real blessing for all of us. But we didn't have the availability when I first got out. We don't have that rapid response because of the internet and being able to, like with the VA, back then it was all phone calls or letters and those kind of things. Even in Vietnam, the only way I got in touch with home was by letter writing. I did make one phone call, but it was all, there was no internet. It was all writing letters. But even with the VA, we found out we can make phone calls. You'd have to document it and send a letter in and wait for documentation to come back. And sometimes it take 6 or 7 months for that all happened. But
wow.
Hey,
Joe,
different world now. Yeah.
I know it's tough, talking about it because it is difficult. There's a guy on the thread, Roger Lutz. Thanks for watching and tuning in. He said, I returned from Vietnam, April '69, and took a taste of California. And I would have gotten back on a plane back with those grunts that were so special. My mind was still with them. I did not belong in the USA. I mean, that's a powerful thing right there. And thanks for sharing it, Roger. And it's what we kind of try to spread at Veteran Trash Talk is that stop complaining about the VA, stop complaining about society, stop complaining about, civilians. We are the ones that are going to help each other.
That's exactly.
Right? The bigger that the community gets, the better we will be.
Yes,
right. And God, it's just you wrote in your book, if you don't mind talking about it, is that you lost a friend over there, but your parents decided not to tell you, right?
Yeah.
There's somebody you went to basic with. Yeah. About that communication. What was that about?
Well, when I arrived in Vietnam, April 1st, and my hometown friend, he was always about 6 months ahead of me. He got drafted 6 months before I did. So he went to Vietnam 6 months ahead of me, but I got there on April 1st. He was killed on April 9th. And he was with the Americal up north of where I was at. And my parents and his wife, he was married to the hometown gal I knew real well. They decided it would not be a good time to throw that on me because I was still new in country. And they waited till I found out, I think it was in August or September of '69, I finally found out about it. It was a shock, terrifying thing my mom wrote me a letter. His wife wrote me a letter too, telling about it. His name was William Overstreet, great guy. And when I came home, I visited his gravesite, got to talk to his older brother, but he was blown up from you call them IEDs, we call them booby traps. His was a 155 artillery round that had been booby trapped, and there wasn't much left of him. But it was a shock. It really was just. It stayed on my mind for quite some time after I found out about it. But I did appreciate my mom and dad and his wife not telling me when I first got to Vietnam. I don't know if I could have been able to took it as well, 9 months or well in September, from April to September. I guess I got a little more hardened, if you want. I guess you can call it that. My mind has been more hardened. I'd seen some other guys die and stuff, so it was a little easier for me to grasp that than it had been had I'd known about it when I first got to Vietnam. But it was a tough thing to do. Tough thing to
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that, Joe. And I do, you're on the panel. We're gonna ask a lot of questions. How was, the mental health stuff perceived, and how did you guys deal with that? I know, like, even me, Nick, Joe, coming up in 03 and 04 when we joined, 05, sick call, mental health, like, no, like, you're good. You're always good. You never talked about it, but there is treatment though. There is a shift in the culture right now where we do receive help. You're not looked at as like, you can't get promoted anymore because you're seeing mental health. How was that handled in your era when you came back? Because I mean, a lot of you guys just went through hell, you saw a lot of shit.
We didn't know the word. We didn't know the term PTSD.
Right. It was shell shock. I forgot what they, yeah.
But we were told to suck it up, quit being a pansy, everybody was embarrassed to even say that they had any kind of what now called PTSD. At that time, it was anxiety, whatever. We were told to suck it up and move on.
Wow. Okay.
There was no. I don't recall any mental health
support.
Support at that time, right? Yeah.
Damn.
But we were just told to suck it up. It's you get over. It was told that time will take care of it. Get over it. So
yeah. I got somebody who lives by me who's a Vietnam veteran, and he just got coached on how to get VA benefits. He's 74 years old.
Oh yeah.
And he never knew that he even was entitled to VA benefits, and now he gets a check for $1,400 every month.
I didn't know VA benefits until I was 50, and I wound up having prostate cancer at age 50 and attributed to Agent Orange. And I didn't even know prostate cancer was on the Agent Orange list. I never even thought about VA benefits. I really didn't.
Yep.
I was living my life. Then I had had a radical prostate, and then a guy brought me the paperwork and said that prostate cancer is on the Agent Orange list. You need to apply for at least submit a claim for it. That's what got started. And I found out then how great the VA is, how great the VA can be. Yeah.
Right. And that's why, to the veterans listening out there, to you, the newer veterans from our generation, the GWAT guys, and you guys complain about the VA and stuff like that. It's like, they're there. You do the paperwork properly. All right. For the most part, you're going to get taken care of. All right. And
I think that's true.
and then, so there's also the entitled veterans that we cover a lot here. Our generation has an extreme amount of entitled veterans, right? That they think they should get out of the Army or the Navy or the Marines or Air Force and make $120,000 a year. And there's a lot of them that, they want everything for free. And then there's also the entitled veterans that complain when civilians are trying to find out exactly how to talk to us, exactly how they can help us. All right. And again, we call it being a steward of the profession. So when you put on that veteran's hat or that veteran shirt and you act like an asshole to a civilian, all right, you ruin it for all of us. Because a lot of these guys come up from Joe's generation to where they realized that they had left an entire generation of fighting men and women to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. And they're trying to right their wrongs with our generation. They're trying to get involved. Okay. And then when you're a veteran, you sit there, well, the fuck are you just going to do that? You're just going to say that. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's like, bro, they're trying to understand.
That's right.
And that is why we invite civilians to Veteran Trash Talk. It's like, come on there, understand us. All right. And so it's just, you see that cultural gap where you see people trying to do better than they did with your generation. And we're the ones that stop it. Go ahead, Joe.
Now, can I give you just a little story about the VA?
Yes, sir.
Please.
Go for it.
How they can misunderstand something, but they mean well. And when I was at the VA, they also wanted to do a hearing test because I was artillery and the M60 machine gun. My hearing is not really great. So I go to the place they're doing a hearing test. The audiologist is there, a young girl. She said it was her second time doing a hearing test. And I said, that's fine. I'm okay with that. And so the first question she said, now you in the infantry? I said, yeah. I said, I was in the infantry and the artillery. And she said, no. Well, why didn't you wear your hearing protection in the infantry? And I said, well, let me explain. I said, you just don't understand. I said, in the infantry, we're in a jungle and we're trying to be as quiet as we can be, and we're trying to listen to everything. And all of a sudden a firefight breaks out. You can't say, time out, let me put my hearing protection in. And she said, gosh, I feel like an idiot asking. I said, no, it's not a problem. That's the way you learn. I said, the guys, you can't have hearing protection if you're in patrolling in a jungle and you're trying to hear everything, So it was a lesson learned for her because she just
you educated her rather than what Nick says, how veterans, what would you say that for? Well, because they don't know.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
If you tell them like, hey, have you ever deafened yourself while trying to sneak up on somebody? Hearing protection can get you killed when there's no bullets going off. So exactly that. We didn't have time to put it in.
No. But I think it helped her, and she was trying to do the right thing, and I wanted to help her to get the right thing done, So she just had a misunderstanding. She thought you wore your hearing protection all the time, when firing was going on. But I think it helped her,
Shoot, I'm scared to wear my hearing protection when my son's sleeping because I think I'm going to make too much noise.
Hey, Joe, Nick talked about it earlier about writing the book. So, and before the show came on, we were talking about my friend Ryan, who wrote Tip of the Spear. And when Ryan started writing his book, it started out as a therapy session for himself, and then it blossomed into this book that it became. Right. Well, that was relatively recently after he had gotten out, whereas it was years after you've gotten out. Yes. Writing the book, did you still feel like there's some, a little bit of a weight lifted? It was a bit of a therapy session for you?
No doubt about it. And especially from writing the book, but getting back and contacting my comrades, because they helped me write the book. A lot of their stories but just making that reconnection, what a great therapy that was. I'd put so much stuff behind me and was trying to forget it. And sometimes it pops up in your dreams and stuff. And I told myself, I still have nightmares sometimes, but Vietnam has never left me. The images, they still come, and it'll bring a tear or a smile or a question. But just writing a book, but also contacting my comrades, talking to them again, and us sharing stories and laughing and joking and crying together. It was the greatest therapy one could have. It really was. A lot better than
shout out to your daughter, Joe, right? She's the one that your daughter is the one who pushed you to,
yeah, I think
they should teach that as a class, Joe, that what you just preached after the warfare that you've seen, that should be preached to everybody coming back now, because that's literally what we're saying is that get around your brother and that veteran.
Can't hear you, Joe.
Those memories and everything else. No. Yeah, man, I'm going through a storm. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what Joe was saying is what Joe Britson was saying was get with your buddies, like you just said, get with your buddies, talk about it.
Right. Yes. What a relief. Yeah.
And then Bill, there's the guy who commented from being in a cav unit, air cav unit in Vietnam in '69. He said that his FO was with him all the time, and actually, helped save some lives because he was doing his job. So we did bring Bill on because, we don't pay him. Actually, we let him get some 10th Mountain Bourbon recently. And, but, defend the FOs. And, there's a lot of good stuff in this book. I don't think Bill got a copy, but there's a lot of good stuff in this book about how devastating artillery is. Oh. And I just don't, that's something that civilians, they watch it on movies, and just Bill, give us a little play on what artillery can do and how important the FO is.
So as much as Nick especially loves to talk shit, like I try to tell people, as an FO and as a JTAC, I could take your 2-hour firefight and make it 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I've spent most of my deployments in Afghanistan. Hell, I could go to certain parts of Kandahar and be fine because I still know everybody there. But I've seen the will of the enemy break with artillery and especially A-10 gun runs. I've done an A-10 gun run on a group of individuals in the open and watched 5 of their buddies just lay down their weapons and put their hands up because they wanted nothing to do with that guy Wade after that. And it's the same thing with artillery. When you have, say, a battery 12, so when you hear battery 12, that's 12 rounds per gun out of a battery, which would be 6 guns. When you do a battery 12 on enemy in the open, it breaks their will to want to fight, keep fighting. And guess what? My job is to shatter everything as possible, so it's easiest for the infantry guys to get to the touchdown, get to the end zone. So hey,
Joe, that is truth. Bill will retire without a single unspent round, probably. I think that's fact.
Yes, I Winchester everything as much as possible. But that's ultimately what an FO's job is to pepper and to, shape the target so the infantry guys can get there and fight the least amount of people as possible.
Yeah,
I don't want you to fight a full company. I want you to fight a platoon. You know what I'm saying?
I couldn't imagine being in Vietnam without the artillery and the air support. I couldn't imagine fighting that war without the artillery and air support that we had. It changed the dynamics on the ground. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So when Dave, Joe, and I deployed together, we didn't have much close air support, unless they were nearby, and the fights were kind of small, but they were, it was every day. And then when I went to Afghanistan in my PTSD, we were on a no notice deployment, went to Afghanistan, and they started talking about the mission briefs and where we were going and what we were doing with who and what. And I'm like, we're all going to fucking die. Like, are you kidding me? And then it's like, then I realized the power, and like I said, I do fuck with Bill because, he decided not to be a grunt, but, I realized the power of the FO and the power of artillery and what they bring. And the first time I picked up the radio and listened to those guys calling in fucking targets and, 100 guys were moving in on our LZ when we landed, and there was only 30 of us. And I was like, what, 100? Like, okay. And then you just heard the FOs and bringing in fucking every angle direction. And it was like, yeah, I could have done cartwheels to the objective. Like do. I'm just gonna go fucking walk up to the objective because they're fucking blowing everybody up, and it was like, this is awesome. So kudos. And I know what you wrote in your book. I know you probably won't take credit for it, so I'll give it to you. But you being forward and you being able to relay those, coordinates and being able to allow that fister to shift off of you. All right. That it saved lives.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so that's tremendous in how you did that. And again, I give credit to people who saved my life. All right. And again, on that LZ, if we didn't have FOs, all right, I probably, would have had to write a bunch of letters home if I would have even survived, and it's like, but because there was artillery, because there was FOs, we didn't even have a problem on that fucking mission. And then, like Bill said, the next time we landed and we had the chatter from the Taliban on the radio, they were like, we don't know where these motherfuckers are coming from, but do not fight them. All right. Because the last time they tried, it did not work out very well for them. So kudos to that. Kudos to everything like that. So Bill, you're still not, you're half a grunt. We give it to you. But maybe you should have did what Joe did, just tried infantry for 4 years and then went field artillery, but it's too late for that. So
I've killed way more people as a JTAC, so I've enjoyed my career.
Fact.
It's better when you see the pink mist. Insider.
Bill, what was that you described being a JTAC as the first time you were on our show? You remember how you described it?
I kill motherfuckers wholesale. You kill one at a time.
The right hand comment was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm just the right hand of God.
Oh, that is powerful. That is powerful.
Beautiful to bring the right hand of God down on evil
And Joe, I share your pain with shooting at somebody and missing them. And I don't think Danny Lukey watches our shows either, but he definitely missed at somebody from a very close range.
We all have. We all have.
So
I've got it on tape.
It's hard to miss with a JDAM.
No, you don't, Joe. No, you don't.
But we miss with those too sometimes. Anyways, I was shooting at a guy, and he, like you said, he was bobbing up and down, right? And I'm like, did I hit him? Right? And he got back up, like, fuck, I didn't. And I was shooting at him again, and he bobbed back down. I'm like, did I hit him? No, he got back up. I'm like, shit, And it's like, I literally shot like 2 magazines at this dude. But I mean, granted, it was about 400 meters away with an M4. And then I had this Delta Dan that was sitting at a table next to me. So we had a Delta Force guy there, and he's listening to me tell this story. And he's like, hey, can I say something? I'm like, no, dickhead, I don't want to listen to you. No, obviously, yes. What would you like to tell me, Delta Force dude? Please tell me what I did wrong. He's like, at that distance, don't aim through your ACOG. Shoot over the top of your ACOG. I was like, oh, well, thanks, Dick. But no, like, yeah, there's like, it's just that haunts me.
Have you ever seen Lonesome Dove?
Well, it's like I always fuck with Danny. That I go, that guy's probably still alive, blowing up Americans. And it's like because you missed him, and then I got mine. So that guy's probably still alive in Afghanistan, hurting people. It's like, oh, he was right there. But like, so share your pain on that one, Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I took a lot of risks.
Pretty sure I missed from a closer distance. Take a bullet quite a bit more than you did.
So Joe, you said what was next? You doing another book, or what's next for you in line of anything?
I don't think I'm going to do another book. I don't believe the second edition was enough. It takes a lot of time, a lot of resources to write a book.
Right.
But I enjoyed it. This was the second edition, still out, pretty new. And since we're opened up now, I'm going to be going to reunions and festivals and stuff, and selling and signing books. So.
Hey,
very nice,
Joe. Just
like a wait, hey, Britson, real quick. Hey, keep the conversation going. Keep the conversation going, guys. I have to leave. Buddy also had to leave for the wedding, and Buddy said that it was, you were phenomenal, Joe, and you're one of the best guests that we have, and I have to concur with that. But as long as our fake Asian in the back, Chris, can stick along, I'm gonna make the host Dave. So keep this conversation going because it is fucking phenomenal. And Joe, thanks for coming on our show. I love it.
Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
You're still on it. I'm just.
Well,
hey, Joe, I got a hypothetical question for you. Dave said, "What's next?" And you talked about, obviously, you've gotten your story out in between the pages you printed it on, and you don't feel the need to do that again. Or to do anything else as far as the writing goes, because I'm sure it was very taxing, but jeez, Pete, very taxing to just do the first one. But say somebody picks it up and they show interest in it, and they say, okay, you're in contact with your brothers. Could we do a documentary about what you guys saw? Would you guys be willing to do like interviews and shows, or do you think that you've gotten as much attention as you want on it, or would you be willing to do something like that in the future?
Yeah, myself and the guys.
If you could bring your brothers with you.
Sure. The documentary would be great. There was 7 or 8 of us that the First Infantry Division Museum in up next to Chicago, Lombardo, I think in Wheaton, Illinois. They filmed each one of us in like a little 6-minute talk and put in their archives there about Vietnam and what we've done since then. But I think the guys would support doing a documentary. I know I would, and it'd be fun. We want to be able to get the stories out there that they can live on long after we're gone.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's setting a great example too to say, there's nothing wrong with talking about it. If you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
But if you can and you can get around your brothers, the more you talk about it, you're not going to ever remove the bad things from it, but it'll be easier to process. Just like you said, a certain thought will come through your head and it might bring a tear or it might bring a smile, but you've learned how to process it. It doesn't bring you into a meltdown, or It doesn't bring you into a horrified situation where you are worried. You've learned how to process it and say, this is why I have these emotions. It's because of this. And to have the guts to put it on paper is something that we all look up to. So thank you for that.
When we get together, us guys, and we talk about the bad times too. So we can get them out, and talking about it is a lot better than letting it sit there and fester in your body and your mind. So it really helps. And we've all said this. There's this last May, there's 14 of us, and we had a good long sit down, talked about some bad days that happened to us and more details of what happened and who was killed and how they were killed. And it was really good for our mind and soul to talk about it. And it's a relief. It's like a relief valve. You don't let it build up inside. You know, that's so I was great to do that. You know,
You can be more candid.
Go ahead,
and you can be more candid and open with your brothers too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things we hold back talking to our, our wives and our regular friends, but with our combat brothers, we can be a lot more open and candid with stuff that we would normally.
I don't talk.
Well, we all speak that warrior language. You know, we all speak
really,
that warrior language.
You can't really paint that picture for somebody unless they were standing next to you. And even service guys that weren't at Patrol Base Olson, like, I try not to like get into the stories of what happened over there because it's like I can't repaint it the right way. They were either there or they weren't, and that's not saying one's better than the other, but I joined the American Legion out here in Concord, North Carolina, like 6 months ago, and I've been there probably 3 or 4 times over the last 6 months. But sitting there listening to the Vietnam guys in there just sit next to each other and have a beer. It's a learning. I've been out for 9 years, and it's a learning experience for me to see how these guys process their service and what they did. They're proud of, and they know when they go to that watering hole, they can talk about it, and they can only talk about it there in that fashion.
But you find, hey Joe, it's funny you bring that up.
But they're not sitting there stewing. They're out there amongst their brothers. Go ahead.
It's funny you bring that up because Terrell Naylor brings it up in the chat.
What's up, Terrell?
He says we need to get our generation to join VSOs like the American Legion of VFWs. I 100% agree on that. And I would say I'm
already there. The history there is incredible.
Yep. And I would say, Joe, you go there too, and you feel comfortable. You're surrounded by people who speak that warrior language, of people that have gone through battle. They've seen, they've shared blood, sweat, and tears. Doesn't matter if you served with them at that time, but if you served and you did something, automatically veterans, they click and they come together, and it's just
it's also experience. The only bar I can go to and be called the Young Buck the whole time I'm there.
But we will be wrapping it up here shortly. So I will give the last word to Joe. Again, hats off to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for coming on, Joe.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And Joe, we'll have you back on. We'll definitely shoot up the links for your book. So anybody that was watching and tuned in, make sure you check out this book. I started reading a couple days ago. It's fucking phenomenal. Okay. I love it. And I can't wait to finish it. And for everybody that's viewing, go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. All right. Check out our merch. All right. We got awesome tees. We're wearing the Quit Being a Trigger Pansy shirt, and Joe's got the Keep Calm and Lace Suppressive Fire.
You got it. Both colors.
And remember that, percentage of all of our sales go to Stop Soldier Suicide, who we're partnered with. Okay. And then don't forget the button. This is my favorite item. All right. Comes in 12 military phrases, all kinds of stupid shit. And again, thanks for coming on. You have the last word, Joe. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And it's been great for me. And I appreciate everybody.
Well, it was an honor to sit here, and thank you for the time, Joe. And thank you for letting us listen to your story. And thanks for putting it on paper. We really appreciate it.
Very much. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Chris, you can cut it, brother. Joe, you